Nobody will answer that.
25 more years.
Oh, boy, I like that. You guarantee that. I'm gonna be.
In writing.
I'm thinking another. I don't know. I'd like to live here another 10 years, but
Okay.
that's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
My elbows up. I want it. I love my house. So.
And when you decide to sell the house, you wanna die in the house, or you wanna go to another place before?
If my health holds up, I'll die in the house.
Okay.
And I pretty much.
This is gonna be I'm gonna make this real simple. People are jumping ship from Xcel Energy right now, so because Xcel Energy has to have 10% of their energy has to be renewable in the next couple of years, and they're fighting to get there, or else they're going to take some massive penalties by the state if they don't do it. There's a whole bunch of incentives for people to do solar right now. The problem is that Xcel's shooting themselves in the foot every time they raise their rates, and they're going to now have to. They're putting up solar fields everywhere. That their rates are going to double in the next 10 years, which is going to suck for you. Are you on fixed income?
Yeah, well, I have my retirement fund.
Yeah.
Stock, so
you pretty much know what you're getting.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, hopefully the market will go up and my income will buy them. Yeah. Counting on it. And I'm pretty well, whatever.
Yeah, every time Xcel Energy raises your rate, you're going to have to figure out where that's going to come from, because you kind of already know what you can spend. Right, you already have that set right now. So, Xcel Energy, they're having to do a lot of infrastructure upgrades. The problem is they've lost 50,000 customers to solar right now, and they wanted some people to help, and so they put out some incentives. But the problem is they were expecting 20,000.
And they put out. They have how many convert?
They've had 50,000 people no longer paying them. They're looking at that like, if we lose another 50,000, we're looking at bankruptcy. We got to stop people from doing solar, and we'll do it ourselves. That way.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they. You could imagine losing another 50,000 customers, because the thing is, you're still connected to Xcel. You just don't have to pay them anymore, right? And people jump over that all day long, and to the point I have 30 appointments a week right now.
Wow,
it's crazy. I'm training right now just because we need more people just to take it all in, because a lot of the stuff ends at the end of the year. Right? You pull out money from your retirement and all that, you pay taxes on that, right?
Pull out money. Well, yeah, most of it.
Yeah, you are a taxpayer, right?
Yeah, but I mean, okay. IRA and
all that stuff. Yeah.
Roth, but mostly, yeah, most of it.
If you're one of those guys that has to pay taxes because you're not an illegal drug dealer, right? Then
not yet.
Not yet.
I have to.
Yep. then you actually qualify for all the stuff I'm telling you right now. Anything to get out from Xcel. I changed over from Xcel years ago. I have not had to pay them ever since, but I'm still connected to them for all my emergency power. It's awesome. My solar panels just give me all my power.
Emergency power.
Well, nighttime, right? Sun isn't producing on your solar panels at nighttime.
Oh, okay.
So let me kind of show you what it's about. What's your reasoning for wanting to do solar? What's your big like, why am I here? What do you want it to do for you?
Main reason is it's I don't know. I want to be a good citizen. It's the right thing to do. Everybody should do it. I mean, I made part of my living selling Caterpillar equipment to their 5 coal-fired plants, and I love coal, but now don't like it as much. Environmental, everybody. I say to be a good citizen, number one, and I'd like to leave income, as much income to my family as I can.
Okay, I got that. That makes sense. If doing the right environmental thing cost you $10 million, would you do it?
If it cost me
$10 million,
no.
Not at all. When it comes down to it, the main reason why people are doing solar is just simply because it's less expensive. They're looking at it like, wait, I can do that great thing for the environment, I can be more responsible, but I'm saving money. That's where it's getting ridiculous to the point where people are jumping ship like crazy. So I'm selling to people that burn tires. They're just like, oh well, I don't really care about it, but wait, I'm saving money.
Yeah.
That's the big deal right now.
Sure, I understand that.
So,
and that's almost like a reason.
yeah. Well, what questions do you have before we get into it?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, first of all, I probably need a new roof. I think I have a good setup for solar, but
You do, but
do I need to?
what's up with your roof?
Well, it's old, and to sell it, I would probably have to replace it. I'm not in a rush to replace it, but
Okay. Not a problem. Any other questions?
well, that's beside. Do I replace my roof before I install the solar
I'll just
panels?
straight up help you out with that one right now. No, you don't need to. You can.
Well,
you
what if I need to sell it in 5 years and you take the panels off or what?
Roofer will take them off and put them back on for you.
Really?
Yeah. There's
It's not that a big a deal.
No, it's 4 screws on each. You're done.
You mean the panels?
The panels, the railings, they just pop that off and then they re-roof and put it back on.
They roof it, and then how do they get the? What do you call it? The not the panel. What do you call it?
They just put them back into the. They just
the brackets. How do they get the brackets back through the roof?
They just drill it back into the same holes that they were in before.
How do they do that? I mean, their holes aren't. They mark them somehow or something.
Yep.
I
mark
probably do that.
Yeah.
But
No, that's a roofer's job.
But it's an extra cost to me.
No, it's a couple $100. Yeah, that's the cheap part doing something like that, doing a re-roof. That's far in the future
Maybe they
too.
can tap. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Okay, that it.
It's inconsequential, is what I'm saying. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, the other question you may not be able to work on. My wife. I have a 50-acre farm in Janesville, Wisconsin, and I want to put in a solar panel. It's bare land. The Boy Scout camp, I can possibly work out a deal. Okay, I don't have any buildings on the property, so I can't sell anything back unless I make a deal with my neighbor, the Scout camp, and they could sell it back if they would like to make the money for doing nothing.
Mm.
But I'd like to put in a farm animal water retention structure so I can capture water into tanks to feed livestock for my neighbors if there's a drought. Plus, I like there's a mile from the road to the river.
Yeah.
And the middle part is where we're going to build a house, and that's where I want the water, because that's where I want the animals. That's number 2 question. Number 3 question. Well, the next question would be, what's the cash flow and the cash flow.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I won't take everything until we talk or you leave. As soon as
Farm in Wisconsin is a long-term project. It's a commercial type of deal, and that requires significant amount of work and planning. And again, that's a whole different type of animal, and there's no tax credits on stuff like that. So for a lot of people, they don't even look at that very seriously.
Who doesn't? Your company or the whatever?
Anyone, because you don't get tax credits on that. One of the biggest reasons why people do this is that there are tax credits at the end of the year, but it's for you as a homeowner for your home.
Here, but
Yes.
I don't have any home. I have nothing down here.
That's right. That's why this is really that would be more for a commercial type of project, and the payback on that in Wisconsin is peanuts. Your return on that is going to be you'd be upside down for 20 years. It wouldn't make sense because they only pay you at a wholesale rate instead of the retail rate, so it's not worth it.
For what?
For the excess
selling back to
for
them?
selling back to them. Yeah.
I mean, I still want it. I might have to pay for it myself, but if I have to, I want it. Because it's something my wife and I have been wanting to do for a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
So
That's certainly a.
But it's a very simple deal.
Yeah.
Drill a well, put up a pretty small solar system. That's why nobody's interested, because it's very small. You pump water.
Oh yeah. For
pump
that
it.
purpose, sure.
But I mean, that's something I want.
Yeah.
And if you're saying you can't really help me because it's not a big enough project, or it's in Wisconsin, which.
I mean, we're in Wisconsin, but that's a type of project that we could help you figure that out in the future. I mean, if you really want us to work on that, we can work on that in the future for you.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'm running out of time. I'm 80 years old. So
Yeah.
I live another. My father would live another 15 years.
Yeah. Well, I told you 25. So you'll be 105. I'll write it down on paper. So he's my witness.
30 second and 30-inch warranty, right? When you back up. Okay.
30 second, 30 inch.
Yeah, I saw. Well, you tell me you're not interested because it's not enough.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that most people aren't interested because they don't receive the return on that's worth it for them. I'm not saying we're not interested. Yeah. Of course, we'd be interested in it.
I am interested.
Yeah.
You say most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I can't get any help down there because the people that, yeah, they don't want to help me down there.
Yeah, where is it at in Wisconsin?
It's so common. The borderline between the scout camp is one company.
Yeah.
And I'm on a fence line is one company, and my property is another company. So it's so complicated. I still want it, so I'm trying to figure out a way. So the problem is, if I want to sell back, because I don't have a home, this is 2 options. I put a power line up, and the scout camp would love it. They're non-profits, so no tech, because they would get, they can sell power back and get, I assume, some income. Or I just do it myself and I get water.
Yeah.
And my farmers will love it because we have a drought down there every 10 years and they have to buy grain because they can't grow it anymore. Anyway. I mean, I'm, my age and my philosophies. Maybe you can help me with it.
Yeah. And we can look at that when we do a little bit more investigation into that. Be happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm definitely interested for sure. And this is going to be, when I show you this is going to be a no-brainer for you. My job is real simple. It's to give you all the research and information you need to take a look at this and say, you know what, this is awesome. Let's do solar. It's to give you the information enough to where you can take a look at it right now and say, let's do solar. I like this. Or you can go ahead and kick me out after I'm done because you hate me. That's fine. I'm cool either way. All I just ask for is at the end of this that you just give me a fair yes or no. Yes, let's move forward today, or no, I don't want you. Does that sound fair?
I mean, I'm not an impulse guy. I like to think about it a little bit. Maybe talk to my neighbors or whatever. A bunch of neighbors are interested in it, but they only want to be the first one.
It's going like gangbusters. Like I said, I have about 30 appointments a week right now. I sign up about 2 or 3 people a day. It's that many people that are doing it because of a lot of tax credits ending at the end of the.
I can see why.
It's nuts.
My neighbors were talking about it.
Yeah.
But they don't want to be the first one, and I'm willing to be the first one. But the only other question is, I got a house. I don't know what you call it. It's pitched like this, and it's got a flat.
Yep.
But you put the panels on the pitch. Probably would instead of the flat part.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. I studied a little bit, so
pitch makes sense.
I don't have any more questions until I hear more about it.
Well, we'll go through this. Honestly, we're looking at this, and I had another couple appointments at the same spot. Honestly, Tom, I like your house better than some of the other places I was looking at. They had some really bad pitches and they had too much tree shading. I'd rather get this done for you today than have to go to another customer. So I like your house better, right?
The other thing is, people just moved. I just thought of this. These people just moved in, and they're a young couple. They don't have any money, but their tree cover goes from all the way to this side of the house.
Yeah. Luckily, this is southern, so that tree doesn't really affect what we're going to do.
Well, it covers the whole half of the house. I mean, it's incredible.
Sun's coming from that way.
Well,
the
it
trees
comes
over
from-
there.
It comes from that way and that way. Yeah, gotcha.
So it goes around here.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't mind a hair bit of tree trimming, but all the things I'm going to tell you include your tree shading.
Okay.
So I already know what we need to do.
So
for
you're
you.
the trimming this tree is my expense if you need it, but if you don't need it,
Yeah,
I trim it. It's still my expense either way.
that's right. And I can tell you right now, nominal difference. It's really not that big of a deal,
Except it's gonna fall in my house.
except for that it's a high hazard to your house. That is true.
And the previous neighbor says, "Well, let it fall on your house, and then the insurance will pay for it." Except I live up there, and it falls and
Oh.
kills me. I wouldn't like and ruin my day.
Great. I appreciate the death insurance, but how am I going to pay on? How am I going to use it?
Yeah.
So so let's get this done today. I like this. I like your house. So here's the process that we have to go through. Number one, we have to get you financially qualified. Now this is going to be the hardest part for this because everyone wants it, but half of everyone doesn't qualify because of debt to income ratios. I don't care if you have an 800 credit score. If you have too much debt on the income ratio scale,
I don't have any debt,
Yeah.
except I have a bunch of cards I'm trying to get rid of to have
Yep.
a balance that I'm not using.
and those might affect you, but
Yeah.
that would be the first thing to get off the table. After that,
I can't figure out how to do it, but
Yeah.
whatever.
we'll do a site survey on your property, make sure everything's in good condition, the trusses, the electricity, we submit that to the city for permits, and also engineering certifications. We get those back in about a month or two. We do the installation. That's only about a day. That's the quick
You
part.
can't do it in the winter with snow on it.
Oh, we do in the winter.
With snow up there?
If our installers want to get paid, they'll make it happen. We'll actually use hot air blow dryers, not the type for your hand, but the big giant ones, industrial ones. They get rid of all of that. We dry the whole thing off, and then we do the panels.
They run it so that I can melt the snow so
Nope.
I can work on it?
Nope, they get up to the roof. They melt all that stuff to where it's just perfectly dry, even
From the
though there's-
outside.
on the outside. We do this all year long. Absolutely. So we do that install. Like I said, takes us about a day, maybe a couple of hours of snow melt stuff. That'll be just fine. And then we submit to Xcel Energy for the net meter. Have you ever heard of a net meter?
Nope.
This is the magic, right?
Oh, they better explain it to me. I think I know what that means. But go
Your
ahead.
meter goes one direction or it stops.
Mhm.
A net meter goes both directions, backwards and forwards. So we know what your usage is. Right.
You know now, you mean?
We got that usage.
You got that information
Yeah.
that you need. Okay.
Yes, we got that. What we did is we have an algorithm that's tied in with the National Weather Service that gives us 40 years of weather data that tells us that with your amount of usage, this amount of panels at this amount of watts will offset that amount of usage for this specific zip code, the angles of the roof, the pitch of the roof, snow, rain, sun, winter solstice, all that stuff. So we already know exactly.
You don't know that yet, do you?
We do.
You surveyed my house?
We've already done
From
aerial
satellite or
flyby over the entire city.
Oh, you already have it.
We've already done that stuff.
Oh, it's not
We
a
do it-
satellite, it's a flyover.
Yep, we've already done that. We've already done that for the entire metro area because we're the installers for the solar companies. We wear their shirts when we come to do the installs. So we're kind of like the guy behind the guy. So we have to do all that stuff before we even come out to houses to give you exact accuracy. So it's very scientific. We know exactly what's needed on your house to offset your energy. So basically by net metering, you are going to overproduce like crazy on your house, far more than you need during the day because of nighttime and when it snows too. I mean, snow does slide off the house, but you got a bad day, it's going to snow for a day or two. You might not get any production, but that's why you overproduce in previous days. But we took that into account. So let's say next month you produce 1,000 kilowatts of electricity. You might only use 900 of those kilowatts. The extra 100 kilowatts get sent out back to your next door neighbors. You just gave them completely green, efficient energy. But Xcel Energy is going to charge them full retail price for that energy, plus taxes, plus fees. But what just happened is that you just got a 100 kilowatt credit. So instead of Xcel Energy sending you that bill, what they do is they send you a net metering statement, which is going to show you your accumulation of all the credits you built up through the year, how much you gave them that specific month, or how much you had to take out that specific month. It rolls over month to month until April 1st, where the whole thing trues up and Xcel sees whether or not they have to cut you a check or not, right? for any overage or anything like that. Now this is what's brilliant about it. You're at a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. Every kilowatt you give them in excess, you get one back in return when you need it.
And that's because never mind. I go ahead. I'm following so far. I won't interrupt you.
Yeah, they needed some help. The state said yes, let's do it. They just lost 50,000 customers at the end of the year. They're saying no more. So they're changing the net metering. The state says they still have to have net metering, but they're going to change the net metering to 4-to-1. But right now, you put $1 in the bank in January, you get $1 back at the end of the year. What this means is that you put $1 in the bank in January, you only get a quarter back at the end of the year. That's not fair.
Effective when or now? That's what it is now.
The way it is next year.
Oh.
That's the way it was in a lot of western states, but a lot of western states have so much sun and the bills are so high, they just said no more. So they changed it to a 4-to-1 rate too. But anyone that gets their permit submitted before that happens is going to be permanently grandfathered into that net metering 1-to-1 rate, which goes with the home, not the homeowner. Right? So you sell the home, this home sells faster, and it's going to be a bill that never increases. The next homeowner has a bill that just doubled in the next 10 years. So your home is way better, and it's going to have a better valuation because you have an entire power plant on your house with never an energy bill. That's one of the reasons that people are jumping on it. But right now, you have a perfect net metering 1-to-1
in the back
pitch part, front and back.
And this flat part doesn't get any panels.
The flat part doesn't. Well, we'd have to pitch them anyway if we were going to be able to get inside with good.
So you're not going to use this area.
We're not going to use that area. It's not very useful at all.
Okay. I thought it'd be the most useful because you could do this and get sun from both directions but you forget it. Got it. If it goes on this one is smaller than this one for some reason. Okay.
You have a little bit less panels on here. You have more roof space in the back than
I
you do in the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are fantastic. These are a triple black monocrystalline panels. These are the gold standard of panels. These will take 150 mile an hour fastball. I've seen F-150 trucks drive on top of them. They just don't break. Right? If someone needs to get up on the roof, they can jump on water. They just don't break, like I said. Now, here's what I love about these panels too, is that this is going to provide shading for your roof. So you'll notice right now, your upstairs gets a little bit hotter in the summer, right? My attic went from 168 to 148 degrees the very next day I put these panels on my roof.
From what to what?
168 to 148.
Oh. Okay.
That means there was less radiant heat coming down the house. My upstairs was way more comfortable.
Like having a tent over there.
Like a tent over that too.
Okay.
And it helps preserve the roof too. So if you ever need to re-roof in the future, you don't necessarily need to re-roof under these panels. You won't be around for that, but anyway, it helps out too. But either way, you're using less AC. Your AC is not cranking as much.
Okay.
So here's what this means to you. You need 7,326 kilowatts to overcome your current usage right now, right? So this is a 6.4 kilowatt system with 20 panels, right? Now, this is awesome. What this means to you, we're offsetting 100% of your energy. In other words, you're not going to get a bill back from Xcel, which is fantastic.
And how much am I paying a year now?
Right now, you're paying about $100. On your average is the
100 a month.
100. Yeah.
Average.
So let's take a look at this. You're gonna pay Xcel or you're gonna pay solar. Let's see which one it looks like. We do this, we finance it. This is not what you're gonna pay. This is what we finance. $32,000. That's what we finance. But you're gonna be receiving back $9,600 from the federal government next year.
Based on my estimated tax, I can tell you what it is exactly, but you estimated it.
Yeah.
Right? At what percent bracket you put me in or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
What bracket?
I don't know what percent bracket is.
Yeah, just
but it
rule of thumb, so
yeah.
I'm saying. Okay.
But no matter what, you're going to get this back even if you have to call on it for a second year. So this is money that the government will either owe you next year, the year before, afterward, but you will get that 100%.
Okay.
Take that, pay down $32,000, right? You're also going to get an incentive from Xcel Energy for $49 per month for the next 10 years that they're going to pay you as a check just for doing this, which is nuts.
I get a check or I get a credit?
It's a check.
Okay.
They're actually going to cut you a check for it. You do whatever you
I
want.
write them a check and they write me a check?
You write them a check? Well, no, you're never writing them a check anymore.
Because
well, except for the gas portion.
For what? Yeah.
Yeah. But they're at the end of the year they write you a big old fat check. It's 49 times 12 is what they do, and you just take that and go to Vegas with it. Or I'd expect you to actually take that and pay down what you owe on this. What this means is that once you take the $9,600 and apply that, it's going to re-amortize at $22,400. That's what you'd eventually be paying for this, which means you'd have a payment of $155 minus the $49 from what they give you, which is a total of $106. Which I'm no great mathematician, but correct me if I'm wrong. That's pretty much what you're paying right now.
Right? And this is at the end of a 30-year period. This is the way it worked out, right? At the end of the first few years, it's not going to be the same as this, right?
So no, this is a set payment. It's never going to go up.
Okay.
If you were to stick with Xcel,
so I'm paying roughly $100 now, and I'm gonna
pay $100 now.
I'm gonna pay $100 now, but I'm gonna sell $100 worth of electricity. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're gonna be able. You're basically.
So I'm up roughly. I'll be breaking even.
You'll be breaking even.
Okay.
But here's where it gets nasty. If you were to stick with Xcel instead of doing solar, over the next 30 years, you'd pay $100,000 for that same amount of energy. Whether you're in the house or someone else in the house, someone would pay $100,000 for that. Where instead of that, $22,000 plus that credit that they give you removes all of this, all responsibilities.
So
all
instead of
obligations,
roughly 100 grand, I'm paying like right now. Oh, this is 22 here.
Yeah.
Looks like it's about a third, but whatever.
Well, it's not.
Okay. Okay.
I could draw it to make it smaller for you, but you know what I mean.
I got you.
But like I said, the first thing we do is number one, get you financially qualified, and two, do a site survey on your house.
And surveys what? See how sound it is and what.
Electrical, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Do you want to do that?
That's it.
That's it.
That's your pitch.
That's it. I told you I'd be easy.
Still haven't got my sandwich, but I get that one. Looks good to me.
Okay, let's check it out.
So how much do I get it? Oh, and then you finance? How much do I have to finance or whatever?
We're financing the $32,000. Next year you get back the $9,600 from the federal government. Pay down the $32,000, it re-amortizes at $22,000. That's what you're going to be paying, but you're going to get $49 per month on that, so it's $155 minus the $49 is $106.
So I'll be paying $106. I have to write a check to who?
To the finance company.
Finance company.
So,
what percent interest?
4.99. Yeah.
So I write a check,
on
and is that tax deductible, the interest, or not?
It's not tax deductible on the interest.
Okay, so I write a check for $109 a month.
106.
106.
Yep.
And when will I start getting credit from
Xcel.
selling solar to Xcel?
As soon as it's turned on, after it's turned on, 15 days later, you'll start getting a bill from the finance company, and your bill from Xcel goes to zero at the exact same time. So this zeroes out and this comes up, and all of a sudden, so instead of being upside down, you're literally staying flat. Xcel would have gone up, but this just stays plain solid. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah, so I'm committing to a loan of 22 grand, roughly, right?
Well, let's throw this back real quick. You are committing, in essence, yes, but we are financing $32,000. You can take the $9,600 that the federal government will give you because of this, and you can blow it in Vegas. You can do whatever you want.
So this money is a one-time deal.
It's a one-time deal.
So now I'm back to.
So, but you take that next year and pay down the $32,000.
So then the first year I owe 32. The second year I owe 22. Roughly.
That's right. Yeah.
And then what happens after that?
What happens after that is eventually you pay it off and you owe no one ever again. You own your own solar system outright.
And then how long does it take me to pay that off?
If you slow paid.
What's that mean?
If you just simply made your minimum monthly payment, it would take up to 20 years. I'm doing it faster because I can. There's no prepayment penalty, but it's up to you. But you know your monthly payment is only ever this and will never increase.
Okay, so.
Does that make sense?
At the end of the first year, when I start, I owe 32.
Yes.
At the end of the first year, I owe 22. Then I can, if I fast pay, this isn't
the whole thing dies off quicker.
But this isn't an annual income.
This is a one-time income that's paid to you.
Okay, so then at the end of the first year, I owe 22 grand, and I pay that off How?
Over small monthly payments, so that 106 over the next 18 and a half years. 'Cause you
But-
already did the first 18
But
years.
does that take into account the sales of my solar power back to Xcel or not?
This,
I'm
if
close to understanding you here, but.
Xcel Energy, if you have any excess,
Oh.
you produce excess energy,
Oh,
then Xcel
then
Energy will cut you a small check at the end of the year for that excess. But
that's
it's
not
it-
gonna amount to much.
not much at all. Yeah.
So bottom line is,
Don't look at that too seriously. Just look at this and say.
bottom line
not the
is,
same.
at the end of the first year, I'm gonna owe 22 grand.
That's right.
And I'm paying that off $100 a month.
Mhm.
And if I don't do it, I'm paying Xcel
Xcel
$100.
$100, and in 10 years it's 200 to them.
But so, am I breaking even on this or not?
You're breaking even immediately. If you were to sell your house in a year, then you would actually make a little bit of money on it, because right now the valuation is 6.4 times 4,000. So on an appraisal estimate, so it's 6.4 times 4,000. So your appraisal valuation on this is going to be 25,600. So if you were to sell your house next year, you would technically make about $2,000 or $3,000 on this. So, but it's not going to be this. It's only after the federal credit, because all appraisers know that you get this. So it's not going to get its full valuation. It's going to get around this number. But every time you make a payment means your loan on it goes lower and lower and lower, and that's why you bought a house. You didn't rent it, because you're getting more and more equity every time you make a payment. So let's say in 10 years you only owe 10,000. It still sells for 25,000. You pay off what you owe. You pocket the difference.
What do you mean more than?
The valuation will actually go up over time, because these panels last for 50 to 60 years. They're no longer offsetting $100 a month. They're offsetting 200 or 300 whenever Xcel goes up in rate. So every time you make a payment makes this less and less and less of a debt. With Xcel Energy, it keeps on going up and up and up as a debt. This goes less and less and less until eventually you can pay it all off and you own the whole thing outright. But either way, when you sell it, you're fine. If you die, then the debt dies with you. It doesn't put a lien on the property for your kids or anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What's the downside?
The downside is I sold to, tried to sell to a person about 6 months ago, and it has about a $3 million home. And the wife said, I don't like the way panels look on my house. I was saving them $250,000 over 25 years. And the wife said, absolutely not, because I don't know what. And the husband, who came from poverty, said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. It's saving us $250,000. You don't understand. I have to make the money. Now, so I think it looks good. I like it the way it looks
So
on
the
my house.
downside would be, I don't have a wife, so that doesn't apply to me, but what are the downsides for me?
The downside is that
I'm taking on debt.
you,
That's one downside, right?
in a way, but you already have a debt with Xcel. This is just a differently structured debt. With Xcel, you pay them or else they cut you off.
Yep.
This, if you don't pay them, they don't cut you off, because it's now part of the building. It's now not something that anyone can take away from your house. This does not affect your debt to income ratio. Solar loans do not affect debt to income ratios. The downside is that half of everyone can't even qualify for this. And so
That's not a downside to me. What's the downside to me?
that if you can get qualified, there is no downside. Now, the downside is if you decide to move in a year or 6 months, then you look at it and say, I'm probably going to be upside down for this, and what was the point of me doing it in the first place? As long as you're in the house for a year, then it makes sense. You just got to tell me, yeah, I'm going to be here for at least a year. Then you're fine.
I may not, but the odds are I will.
Yeah. So then
So there's a little risk there.
there is a little risk. You got to be in the house for a year, because otherwise you would be upside down on that and say, well, great.
How much would it be?
It's not much of a downside, just as long as you're here. That's it. That's the only thing there is, and there is technically that. Now, I guess let me throw one small downside to you, and this could be a case. Let's say you have some of your kids or grandkids and all that, and they move into the house, right? And they start using a lot more electricity. it means you're gonna have to start pulling back energy from Xcel because the panels only produce so much, which means you start getting somewhat of a bill back from Xcel. You
Or
can,
they would, or whatever.
yeah,
Gotcha.
you could add some more panels in the future, but you wouldn't get the 30% credit on those. So this at least says, let's take care of your bill from last year.
Yeah, the chances of my kids living in this house are very slim to none because my son, wife won't let him move out of Chicago, and my
Okay.
daughter can't afford the house. She'd have to sell it to pay her brother
Okay.
half of it.
So then that's not gonna
Odds
be a worry
aren't
for
that
you.
good to tell.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's see if we can get you qualified.
Okay. You gonna take a while to do that?
It'll take me,
Go.
it'll take me a couple minutes. I need to ask you a couple
No.
questions.
All right. No problem.
You want me to go fix you a sandwich, man?
Nah, we're good.
You sure?
Well,
Well, if you want to
Yeah,
fix
let 'em-
yourself a sandwich right now, I don't mind using the bathroom real quick.
go ahead.
And he
Better
can
go
talk-
downstairs. It's a little more shaper. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.